one of my favorite devs, just in terms of what they've been able to do, has been Monolith. Monolith is just crazy, crazy good. They are the ones behind Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War. They made some incredible games. And while, yes, they've been bogged down with extreme monetization and craziness, there have also been some other positive things to come from it as well. So like just the Nemesis system in general is incredible. I love the Nemesis system, and it's a bummer it hasn't been used in much else. But they are working on another game, specifically a Wonder Woman game that's been announced and that we know is coming eventually. We don't know exactly when, but some new information and rumors and things have come out. Specifically the Xbox Era podcast, there's some reporting of stuff that they've been told by sources about the game. So if we go through this, we can touch on it briefly. There were rumors, I believe 2 weeks ago, of the Wonder Woman game being a live service game because they were hiring somebody that had, like, the requirements were fine and were standard, but the like additional requirements or like, you know, in a job listing where they'll say bonus points basically if you have these skills as well, or you'll get bonus consideration, or we would love for you to also have these skills, but it's not mandatory, we would just see them as a bonus. They had like experience with live service development and monetization, blah blah blah, whatever. And so people connected that, said, oh well, why would they look at that as a net positive? If it was a single player game, it must be a live service game. Seems like that's been shot down. There was some reporting suggesting that was perhaps just, you know, maybe a misconstrued interpretation of it. But basically, Warner Brothers made a statement to IGN saying, quote, Wonder Woman is a single player action adventure game set in a dynamic open world. This third person experience will allow players to become Diana of the Themyscira. I don't know how to say it. I don't watch Wonder Woman stuff. And introduce an original story set in the DC universe while also featuring the Nemesis system. Ooh, confirming it uses the Nemesis system. Boom. And they say Wonder Woman is not being designed as a live service game. Interesting. Just saying straight up, it's not being designed that way. That's not what they're trying. So that's cool to hear. It's pretty rare for Warner Brothers to come out, or anybody really, to come out and say, not live service. Like, just to clearly state, as I whack the microphone, I'm so sorry, everybody. As they clearly state, this is not a live service game. It's not what we're doing. This is a single player game, blah, blah, blah. That's it. It's not common for that. So for them to come out and say it, to me, says that they perhaps know of the toxicity surrounding the term live service. And I would hope so, because Suicide Squad has been bogged down by that same baggage. And in the latest marketing push, they are, of course, trying to bail on the tie of live service. You know, they don't want it to be associated with their games. So makes sense. Anyway, cool to hear that they're saying that. They go on to say, from these reports from the Xbox Era podcast, according to Nick, the game currently runs at 30 FPS with the hope of 60, specifically 60 coming in a performance mode. But they're developing it targeting 30. They go on to say, as far as overall visuals go, it's said to be much like that of Gotham Knights, but probably a little better. Okay. I mean, the art direction is more important, but they're saying roughly that of Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights wasn't bad looking. It just ran really poorly. So city density was terrible. Texture popping was really bad. Hitching was really bad. So as long as it's polished, I'm okay with it. If it looks like Gotham Knights, it's not necessarily a bad thing. There was some weird ambient lighting where like characters had a really flat lighting look to them, regardless of where they were. And the lighting in the environment, but again, that might have been performance related. They go on. Regarding gameplay, Nick says that the game features many of the same things other games of the kind have, such as enemy mobs, mini bosses, and regular bosses. There will also be chests and various loot drops for things like boots, braces, and torso gear, all with stats for the player. The invisible jet will also be a part of the game and used for fast travel. Jumping, leaping, and fast dashing feels really cool, like a good version of Crackdown. Like a good version. Not like Crackdown. It feels like a good version of Crackdown. The lariat feels good to use, works sort of like Spider-Man's webs, he added. You can wrap it around people, slam them. First announced in 2021, Spider-Woman. Where did I get Spider-Woman? I guess I connected those. I don't know. I swear I'm not high. The first announced in 2021, Wonder Woman is expected to release in 2024, though there's been no confirmation on that. As for whether we see it then, who knows? But if Wonder Woman comes out in 2024, that would probably line up well because it looks like Wolverine is probably 2025. So they each get their own year. I think that's probably the best way to do it because I don't think you'd really want to go head to head, but I'm down. And hearing that they're using a Nemesis system for this as well is also very intriguing. I love the Nemesis system and I would love to see them use it again. So like Shadow of War, that Nemesis system was already crazy. So imagine what the souped up next generation version of it is like. It's going to be very interesting. But yeah, I mean, the gameplay trailer is going to say a lot. And whenever they do reveal this, it's going to be, I think, pretty instantaneous. Whatever the reaction is probably going to be pretty clear. But I hope it's crazy cool. Because again, the Nemesis system is amazing. It's amazing. And hearing that they're shutting down rumors of live service stuff is awesome. Whether that means that they don't also have like say paid skins and cosmetics and a battle pass for cosmetics, who knows, maybe they do, but I would consider that live service and hopefully they would too. So hopefully that would dismiss that as well, but who knows? I mean, we just don't know at this point. What's Nemesis system? Nemesis system is like it's the same system that was used in Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War for the orcs that are like running around and doing stuff, and when you kill one they can be resurrected and then they get a feud with you and they have all sorts of dynamically generated characteristics, and if they kill you they get promoted to war chief and then they have underlings beneath them, they're more powerful. So you can have like dynamic stories being generated between the player and these NPCs generated dynamically through that system. It's pretty cool, but it's pretty much only been used in that series, the Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor. And then sort of a version of it was sort of used in like Assassin's Creed Odyssey with the mercenary system, but it was like a very low level bland version of it because they didn't want to infringe the copyright, because Warner Brothers also copyrighted or trademarked, I forget which one, the Nemesis system so that it couldn't be used by another team. Other series it could go, I agree, like superhero games, it's a layup. I think it makes perfect sense because you can be fighting low-level criminals that fight their way up. I think another franchise it could make a lot of sense in is something like, I mean, it could work in a bully type game where like if you're fighting other bullies, there's different bullies in the community that are generated that have different like special abilities. Maybe there's one that's really good at trash talking and it's its own ability, and then one guy's really good at wet willies, and then this guy has like he's a goody two shoes, and so he has teachers that really love him and they don't think of him as a bully, so he gets extra bonuses to being detected by like the teachers that supervise the courtyards and stuff. Like there would be all sorts of cool things you could do there. Another one would be like LA Noire, where if you're a detective, you're actually solving crimes. And let's say there's like a murder that you're trying to solve and you get it wrong and the criminal gets away, that then generates a reputation and a relationship between the player and that character. And so then they go off, commit another crime that's generated, and they now have all sorts of extra bonuses and perks because they've beaten you once, right? So then, you know, if you take it to trial, there could be little perks where it's like got away is a perk and the criminal has it because they got away once, and that makes them more difficult to convict because they can say, hey, they investigated me for another crime I didn't commit and now they're trying to pin this one on me. So clearly this is corruption. You know, there's all sorts of really cool stuff you could do. Yeah, like a mafia game, and it would also work there. Cool things like that. So I think there's a lot of potential with it. I think there's a lot they could do with it, but it's pretty much only Warner Brothers that can use it, and Warner Brothers seems to only want Monolith to use it. So whatever they're working on is where it's focused. He took my thing.